This is going to be a fun thread. What is a non-racist, non-sexist, and non-hateful opinion you have that would make people dislike you? I went ahead and just undid a whole bunch of these because a lot of them were hidden because I had so many downvotes. Veganism should be the law. Domesticated feedstock would die out in a generation. Why do you hate cows? No, we should support the cows because, like pandas, we've caused them to be in a position where they can't take care of themselves, so it's our responsibility to keep them alive. To play the devil's advocate, carnivorism should be the law. That would destroy the environment. Forcing everyone to be vegan is much more reasonable in comparison, and in fact, that would help our planet immensely. Did you drive a car? Do you support any type of business in the world? What? But you would literally die, punishable by death. If you feel that way, you should learn to spell veganism. I think it's funny you're getting downvoted for literally answering the question as it was asked. I completely disagree with you, but you have my up, dude. I hate vaccines. Not my opinion, but an opinion that could piss lots of people off. If you don't mind asking why was this downvoted? Is it not a completely legitimate question? Can you explain why? He just said that that's not his own thing. He just said it because he knew it would get downvotes. Everybody who does illegal drugs is a loser, especially abusers. I especially dislike people who smoke weed, because it's illegal here. If it was legal, I wouldn't care as much. I think those who do drugs are below me. Drug use is stupid. I just hate drugs in general, and I think it's lame to use them, and useless/waste of time and use. Edit. Also edit. ITT, butthurt people, get over it. Doing drugs is lame, just like racing is lame. Smoking is lame too. I dislike all of those. I can just feel people looking desperately through my comments trying to find stuff to throw against me. Hey, you drive a 300 HP car. You probably race. No, I don't. LOL. Edit 2. Everybody getting butthurt. Get over it. It's my opinion. You can't change it, loser. I answered the Askreddit question. Edit 3. Jet fuel can't melt Philly cheesesteak melt. Edit 4. I don't know who it was, but I read their comment on which they said they used it to enjoy themselves in the same way I like to do specific activities to enjoy myself. It doesn't necessarily have to do with being weak or thinking they need a high. It's the way they enjoy life in the same way I enjoy life. See, this episode of South Park has thought is that you shouldn't go attack someone because they hold a small opinion. Just because someone is against drugs doesn't mean you should persuade them to try it. You people are the kind of people who peer pressure others into trying drugs. Shame on you. Do you drink alcohol? Because if so, you're a loser too, bub. CEOs, presidents, Olympic gold medalist, and probably just about every artist you've ever enjoyed have all used mind-altering substances. How can you reconcile your opinion when some of the most successful winners in our society have done or do drugs? I'm not saying all drug users are winners. Seen enough meth mouth to know that. But you certainly can't claim everybody. Yes, because exceptional individuals prove that a trend isn't real. That's true. I don't think pregnant women deserve special treatment. You choose to get pregnant. It's not something to be proud of or exceptional or expect special treatment for. That said, I still get pregnant women in my seat on transit because I'm not a total ass. I feel kind of sorry for them, and the 18 years ahead of will be punishment enough for their bad choices. Fuck those prego hoes. Wonder why this one got downvoted. That's usually a popular opinion among Reddit. Is that why it got downvoted? I'm kind of curious about that. It's like a temper, minor disability. I can't think of one bad choice your mom made. Their bad choice? I don't think they should get special treatment either. However, getting pregnant isn't by default a bad choice. I get what you mean. God, thank you. You are so right. Star Wars and Star Trek are the same thing. That's gonna piss a lot of people off. No, they are not. Shut the fuck up. Point proven. Failed to see how this proves your point. You proved OP's point. The same people would dislike you for your opinion. Not that those two things are the same, which they obviously are not. Downvote me, but I know I'm in my heart I'm right. Okay. I hate you. Considering J.J. Abrams' Star Wars up the Star Trek series and is now in charge of Star Wars itself, I concede your point. I would consider Star Wars a fantasy. Yeah, it takes place in space, but it follows story structure fantasy, and Star Trek a sci-fi. Oh, that's a good way to put it. Wait a second, what do you mean? They are literally different franchises with different characters, mythology, universes, etc. Are you just trying to say that all sci-fi/fantasy is the same thing because you find it tedious/don't like it? Because that's not really an opinion, it's just incorrect. It's sort of like saying soccer and rugby are the same thing, or tennis and badminton. You're not gonna like my answer. You're dumb. Fun fact. They used to classify sci-fi and fantasy as the same thing for a really long time, until like the 70s or 80s. I mean, in novels. As far as publishers were concerned, sci-fi and fantasy were the same thing. Having a sex change operation, getting plastic surgery, taking hormones, and putting on lots of makeup every day does not make you a transgender. Only changing your sex chromosomes is a legitimate method of changing your gender. Pretty sure no matter how you mean that, such an opinion can reasonably be construed as sexist. A for effort, though. Definitely makes you a fucking douchebag to think you can determine other people's genders for them. By the way, you might actually have an argument for biological sex, which is indeed determined by chromosomes, but also non-binary. I think our society is really jacked up. If you are born fully a man, I feel bad when society kinks you up your mind into making you feel that you're a woman and vice versa. I don't think people will ever change their opinion on this, but they will pass laws that will make it illegal to change people on their assumed gender identity. I think it is very delusional, and it is a product of delusional people who think their thoughts can change the laws of the universe. What? Many people who feel transgender have hormone levels closest to that of the other sex than those of their own. Hold up there. He didn't say anything sexist. Stop choosing to be offended. I'm not gonna read through all that. You literally just contradicted yourself in the last sentence. Edit. Changing your sex chromosome would not change your gender, as gender is not determined by sex. Ooh. This is something I'm not gonna comment on. It's a huge, confusing subject. I think machine guns should be made easier to legally own for average American. Contrary to popular belief, they have been impossible to legally manufacture for civilian use since 1986, and only a relatively small number of transferable models are in existence today, which are extremely expensive and difficult to obtain. As a sports shooter that owns several firearms, including NFA-regulated equipment, I think it's ridiculous that to own something with a higher rate of firepower would require $6,000 for a 30-year-old base model, not counting ATF paperwork. Triggered over scary gun. Machine gun would be pretty cool. Tipping is not mandatory and should not be regarded as if it is mandatory. I don't care that servers live off tips, because anyone can get a better job. You just have to work for it. I don't ever tip because, like Mr. Pink said, one thing I'm not going to do is play ball. I used to work at a crappy restaurant and got paid peanuts, despite the fact that I was there 5 days of the week. Always on time, always stayed later, and always did my job properly and efficiently. So you know what I did? I quit, and then I got a job that guaranteed 40 hours per week, starting paid $11.25 per hour. You know what I did to get that new job? I put in the time and effort to look around. It's not hard, and I really dislike how people try to make out that finding a new job is some impossible, unthinkable task. If you don't like your job, quit. It actually is that simple. People hate on me literally every time I go on about this. LOL. Downvoting every comment on my profile doesn't make you right, and it certainly doesn't make me wrong. This thread is great. That we should stop keeping pets and use the money that we would have used on our pets to combat hunger and poverty in the third world. Wow, that is a very unpopular opinion. Because why should you specifically use the money that you would save from having a pet to give to people in the third world? It's not like it's that much. And feeding people in the third world is its own bag of dicks. there's a whole bunch of political problems with that. It's not just the getting them food part. Ban guns in America. Yeah, I am American, but gins are bad, okay? I don't believe that animals have rights. Edit. I'd like to clarify that I am aware there are laws against animal cruelty, though I don't know all the details of them. I do not believe humans should treat animals cruelly, nor do I believe that all animals are stupid. To me, rights are a concept that humans have invented. Any rights we officially have come from people getting together and agreeing upon what rights humans ought to have, then enforcing it into law via the Bills of Rights. I am an American. Animals are incapable of doing this. We can decide what's right. We can decide what's right we think they should have, and then enforce laws accordingly. But to me, this is a different concept than animals themselves actually having rights. I am also open to the idea that I am wrong and would love some compelling arguments besides, you deserve to die, or you are an animal. That seems kind of hateful. I think uncircumcised dicks are literally disgusting. Please leave your homophobia out of this. We should abolish capitalism entirely and erase the link between work and income. Wow, that's a super socialist idea. In a perfect world where people weren't selfish, this could work. But if you take into account how people actually do stuff and how it only takes one person to ruin everything, meh. And then I also think about it, maybe someday through selective breeding, you could probably do that. I think that Donald Trump is the best. It's the best presidential candidate. That's a good one. Even retards can have opinions. He might be if you could trust him. That's one I'm voting for. Why? I'm seriously curious as well. I'm having a serious trouble wrapping my head around this. Watching the GOP debate last night, I could not for the life of me figure out why he is so far ahead in the polls. He was the only candidate loudly booed during the debate last night. Does not compute. Can you please explain why you think this? People love Trump for the same reasons others love Bernie Sanders. He says what he believes and stands by it. He doesn't change his stance based on popular opinion or whatever the GOP think tanks say they should be. And, most importantly, he isn't owned by corporations, super PACs, or special interest groups. He's running on his own money. Yeah, but Bernie Sanders is reasonable and correct. Trump does not. You know what? I think I had this client who I did some videos for, and she was having trouble downloading and a whole bunch of other stuff. Anyways, I finally get her all her videos, and one of them she asked me, hey, can you please change the name on this video for me because it has the number of, because it had something in the video title that she wanted changed to like her number or something. I was like, oh, that's just the file name. You can change that yourself. No problem. She's like, oh, I'm not good with computers. Can you just do it for me? So I type out the instructions for how to change a file name. You know, you double click it and you can change it, or just right click it and go to rename. No, this was too much for her. I was like, these are the people who I almost forgot how stupid people can be. And then after all that, she sent me, she's like, oh, thanks, because I finally just changed the name for it and resent the file to her. She's like, oh, thanks, here, since you were so good and helped me out with everything, I'll give you special priority on these great opportunities. And she sent me like 3 spam things. It's like, yeah. Oh, I didn't think I'd have to deal with stupid people again ever since I stopped working at my customer service job. I forgot how dumb people can be. And yeah, this just reminded me of her. I bet she was a Donald Trump fan. Because Donald Trump, he got rich by screwing a lot of people out of money. If it wasn't for bankruptcy laws, whatever, I don't want to talk about him. I actually don't really know enough to make an informed opinion about him. Just some stuff I read like a year or two ago that I only half remember. I don't use turn signals and cut in line. Oh, you monster. You don't use turn signals and you cut in line? I think well done is the best way to eat steak. You monster. Also, more than half of the people order medium rare because it makes them sound like they know what they're talking about. Medium rare sucks too. Too mushy. Medium is the master race. People just don't like to say medium because it's not cool. Conspiracy, I tell you. Oh, I actually don't know enough about steak to... I know that you don't do well done because that just takes all the flavor out of it. And if it's bleeding a little bit, it makes it taste delish. But I've been super poor my whole life, so I don't really get that many opportunities to eat steak. Atheism is a religion. Edit. Wow, looks like the /atheism showed up. I can see I came up with a good opinion because of all the downvote. Thanks, folks. And most atheists hate God, making them not really atheists. Metal music is for angry neck beards and angry angsty nerds who would rather be angry than fix their problems. Edit. I admit I am wrong and that I could have explained myself much better. I typed this opinion from an aggravated state. I still don't care for stereotypical angsty stuff. I then realized that every genre has its fair share of stereotypes, that it is unfair to lump everybody into one category. Tell me what music you like then, you pretentious ass. No. I think I'm in love with you for that opinion. I completely agree. Metal music's great for running. Who actually listens to the lyrics? I think that a lot of homeless, not all, are in the situation they are because of mistakes they made in their lives and don't deserve anybody to help them if they can't help themselves. You have to have done some pretty horrible things for not a single person in your life to care that you have to sleep on the street. Well, this is clearly that I can make people hate me playing by the rules, I guess. I know this will sound very dumb and ignorant, but why don't homeless people get a job at McDonald's or something to make some money, and they might be able to save up for rent or something? I wouldn't say you sound egos of those because you're right. Maybe not a job at McDonald's, as that would require an interview with a smart set of clothes and at least look presentable, but with all the programs there to help people, that you can start to live again, even in this cleansing plates in the back of a dinner. Even if it's cleaning plates in the back of a diner. Wow, I messed that up. It's something to get you a paycheck. The thing is with homeless people is a lot of them have mental illnesses, so they can't work. That basically just like solves all that. Nerds and geeks take their hobbies way too seriously. You should never be defined by your hobbies. Oh, God, yes. I've met way too many people like this, where their hobby is their life instead of just a part of them. I don't really think that's an unpopular opinion, that's just fact. Although it's not just nerds and geeks too. There's people take a lot of things too seriously and define themselves by it. Like the whole weed culture or the working out culture. People take their hobbies way too seriously, not just nerds and geeks. I feel like taking your hobby was way too seriously is a good way to live a content life though. Shooting that line was taking that man's hunting hobby too seriously. Why do people advocate for ruining a human being's life because he killed an old cat? I ate a hamburger today. Oh, I don't know. I want to read that. Then what defines you? Still unsure on that. However, I feel that if you're defined by how much you like Star Wars, you are not doing enough with your life. Kind of agree. But on the other hand, we all tend to define our identity through a group of membership of some kind. We're just flocky kind of creatures. None of us wholly unique. We all fit in somewhere. And some people fit in where everyone dresses up like orcs and elves and hit each other with foam weapons. That sounds pretty fun. Your character. That's because we are not filthy casuals. I get you, man. It also makes it tricky to criticize a favored media text if someone has their identity invested in it. You could tell me every band I listen to is shit, every game I play is shit, and every film I like is shit. You wouldn't shake me in the slightest. I'd appreciate your honesty. But if someone invests their identity in something like that, it gets tricky extricating any valuable critical discussion from that regarding said topics. You know you are right. My post was a bit harsh in its original tone. I really should have further elaborated my feelings. I have always had a hard time understanding why some people so heavily invest their identity in one thing. I guess that is where my issue truly lies. Being a nerd or geek, everyone chooses their own. There's a difference between being defined by a hobby that is based on consumption and one based on production. And there's also hobbies where the lines between production and consumption are really muddy, so you have to be mindful of that. What? The fact that Caitlyn Jenner is now glorified as a symbol of bravery just proves how silly the future is getting. Your baseless dislike or hatred of her is proof of her bravery. Your reaction is why she's praised. You and people like you are the thing you are complaining about. Gluten intolerance. What was this one with Caitlyn Jenner? Caitlyn Jenner. Well, I don't know. I think that's a good thing. Have a very public person come out as transgender, because the transgender community has a super high rate of suicide, and I feel really bad for them. So anything that brings down that suicide rate down is just going to be a good thing. But hopefully someday everyone will just accept them and they won't have to kill themselves for not feeling like they belong. Gluten intolerance isn't real. I am so fucking proud of this post. Best fucking post ever. Gluten intolerance isn't real. What? Sure, there's a lot of people who say they're gluten intolerant who really aren't. But okay. This thread, it's great. I believe OP excluding race from discussion is part of the problem. OP is reinforcing the false notion that race is a special category that is exempt from criticism. That if you were born with a Y chromosome, you are a man no matter what you put into or remove from your body. Reality doesn't change because you can't accept it. Why do you care so much? Seriously, I can't understand that shit either. Ignoring the fact that he obviously doesn't understand how gender identity and sexuality works even on a basic level, but he's apparently offended that someone wants to live their life a certain way that doesn't affect him. That's a fair point. No more for Murdy Boners. I'm fairly certain it affects a lot of people when a single person of no significance to you cannot post their opinions without being viewed under a biased microscope. Blah, blah, blah. I think trans people are actually mentally ill and require medical / psychological help. It's to the point I will call all trans people by their birth genders names, such as Bruce Jenner. I don't hate them or have any phobia, irrational fear for those that love to throw the use of phobia completely out the window towards them. I just feel sorry that they aren't able to accept that they are in fact born with a certain body. No matter how much you mutilate it, it won't change for the better. I am supportive of LGB activity, but I will not group trans into it because what I've pretty much said before. Probably won't be seen, but that's okay. Let me get off my chest anyways. The only thing Reddit hates more than women are guys who look like women. I think McCain would have made a better president than Obama. You definitely have an irrational something. The thing is, there's a cure for it called sex reassignment, and it's only known one. I say, let's work together to make the lives of as many people as possible as good as possible. No? That's not a cure. It's giving into and living the delusion that you're not your birth gender. It's the exact opposite of a cure. The goal here, to make the person happy and let them live a relatively normal life, or to satisfy your opinion on them. It's the goal of treating a homeless alcoholic to get them a free supply of alcohol or address the underlying issue. If the only thing I knew of that would give them comfort was alcohol, I would give it to them. That's retarded. There's a lot of transgender hate in here. I think McCain would have made a better president than Obama has. I think a lot of people would have. I'm a music conservatory graduate. Conservatory? I spent years analyzing music for grades, so when I come across something that's garbage, I know. Rap music has the melodic complexity of a train horn. Actually, less. Train horns often are tuned to tritone, which seem to be absent in rap, and the lyrical complexity barely goes beyond a third grade vocabulary. Not only is the music intended for ignorant audiences, it's intended to provoke ignorant young people into committing crimes in order to fill their for-profit prisons in the U.S. How's that for an unpopular opinion? I wish I could afford to give you gold. I wish you had more upvotes. Well, have one from me. I strongly believe that the majority of religious people claim to be so because of a mixed self-interest, cultural immersion, and self-delusion. Truly religious people, as in those that are there because they actually sense some sort of spiritual power, are this way because of a brain deformity that predicts an overactive parodial reaction. What? OP said non-hateful. Sorry for any confusion. I consider the comment hateful because it was insulting those of religious background. I understand that you can be insulting without hate. Just commented without realizing it. Claimed to be so because of a mix of self-interest, cultural immersion, and self-delusion. I think it's mainly just because they were brought up that way. If you're told something is real your entire life, why would you all of a sudden change your mind when you turn 18 and you read a textbook for the first time? That'd be like someone saying the color blue is now red. I am always amazed at how Christians are super pumped up for the destruction of the earth in order to get rid of sin. Let's not talk about religion. God exists and sent his son Jesus Christ to die for our sins, thereby saving us from an afterlife of damnation. You'd be surprised how much people hate this idea and are quick to bash me over it. And I don't even force it on people. Just say it when I think it, when I'm asked, and what I believe in. I just figured out what the gold star was. Thank you for your support. God blessed. You bastard. /S. Christianity is awesome in my opinion. God and Jesus are the same being. Because of that, Jesus was predestined to return to heaven upon death. How is that a sacrifice? The entire story makes no sense if you take 2 seconds to actually think it through. With that said, believe what you want. More power to you. Well, spoilers, Christianity has the largest following out of all the other religions. I just think it's stupid to act like a minority. People bash other religions and Christianity. Does it, though? I think I looked at the statistics on this before. If you group up, I don't know, there's also a lot of Muslims. It's a persecution conflict. Not on Reddit. Your account is 1 year old, blah, blah, blah. I'm very religious. I think despite a lot of bad apples, religion has overall positive influence on the world. I think Kanye West is a genius and a voice of a generation. I am Christian. Rap sucks. As a philosopher, I became aware that a vast majority of people do not know how to think, or let's say to produce a valid argument connected to a other and somewhat systematic way. Nobody would deny it if they are not capable, for example, to paint, to play music, etc. But as everyone is entitled to have an opinion, everyone thinks he's capable of producing something decent in the field of thinking and reasoning without any effort or learning. No, you're not. 95% of normal conversations are just completely weak and irrelevant, or even embarrassing. Thinking is just another human activity. You don't know if you don't learn it. And I still have to learn every day. But if I only mention the idea, I'm finished, done. Another pedantic motherfucker. I took a couple philosophy classes, one specifically on logic. He's not wrong. Like, forming a valid argument is ridiculously hard. It's so hard that I basically just take all of the fallacies and use those as real arguments because 95% of people you come into contact with won't know what a fallacy is, and you can just use those. Because real arguments are hard. You sound like a pretentious bitch. Most of the people in this thread have presented their thoughts in really incendiary or just annoying ways, including him. But he's right about certain things in there. If you disagree all the angry stuff, the idea of thinking being a skill that has to be taught and practiced is very important to realize. And it's a good thing to say in a thread like this. Because one of the hardest things for all of us is to admit or realize when we're being stupid, or just doing something that could be better, especially when the stupid thing is as fundamental as how we are taught to think. You're right. I feel like most people don't care enough about wasting their minds. If people understood how much they could learn by quitting the bullshit and stepping out of the norm, then society wouldn't be full of so many people that can't understand each other on a profound level. On a profound level, what? That was just a whole bunch of buzzwords. You misunderstand the purpose of most conversations. Humans are not the most verbalist species on the planet. Why do we talk so much? Social bonding. Most conversation is essentially contentless. That's not the point. The point is the interaction itself. Oh yeah, he did mention something about conversations, right? Yeah, that's This guy's right about that. Small talk is a really good way. You know what? He explained it really well. Small talk isn't useless, but arguments are difficult. Oh, are you published? Please don't do that. You're just proving his point by committing ad hominem fucking fallacies. I don't support abortion. To me, a fetus isn't really any different than a baby. It's just earlier in the process. Some people will say women can do whatever she wants with her body, but I don't agree that a fetus is her body anymore. If you were to go over to 2 chromosomes, they act like getting abortions are no different than getting your nails done. I'm okay with abortions in extreme circumstances, like a woman got raped or is at risk for her health, or the woman knew that there was going to be something wrong with the baby that would massively hurt its quality of life. And if a girlfriend gets pregnant and the boyfriend wants to keep it, even if he wants to raise it without her, she doesn't want to. It's all on whether or not she wants to keep it. A woman can get an abortion even if the father doesn't want her to, and his say has nothing to do with it. The fetus isn't her body, but it's inside her body. She has a right to expel things from her body that she doesn't want to have in there. You could just... Okay, so we had some talk on religion. Lots of religion talk, lots of transgender talk. I was waiting for the abortion to show up. Of course, politics, too. Let the downvoted pour down over my soul until the end of eternity. But I love Justin Bieber's music. Okay, I wasn't expecting this one in here. I can tell by your English. Welcome to the bottom of page 1. Literature, especially modern literature, is overrated. I love Adam Sandler films. There are wasps and mosquitoes that I respect more than you. Thanks, you. I mean, Big Daddy was alright. You're part of the market that leads to the abomination's public presence. Die in a fire. Just kidding, kind of. It's just a big cat with a beard. Grow the fuck up. As someone who is outraged, camp about Seal the Line issue, allow me to represent the reasons why I am outraged. Firstly, it is a cruel thing to kill anything capable of feeling pain, but since lots of things in the world are based on compromise or gray areas, some may successfully make a case for killing animals for necessity, survival, nutrition, regulating population. Secondly, even with the exceptions pointed out first, there's still no excuse to kill an animal just for fun of it. Thirdly, if by some morbid reason one can justify killing an animal for sport, then the at least they could do is kill the animal in a least painful way. What happens instead was you shoot an animal with a crossbow, let it feel agony and pain for 40 fucking hours, and when it's exhausted, you find it and kill it. And then you cut its head off and skin it. It is about a piece of shit behavior as it gets, in my opinion. And on top of that, we are talking about a species near extinction. I think Hitler should have won the war because I like German language and prefer a world where there is just one type of society, a united society, instead of every country for themselves fighting all the time. Oh, wow. I wasn't expecting a comment like this. With a username like Narcissist, though, I can't tell if he's serious or not. The wage gap is a myth. Come at me. God's not real and every religion is a huge waste of time and energy. I support free speech. I think every country should implement a license for parenting. Eugenics, of course there has to be eugenics. The thing with eugenics is everybody thinks they're superior, so it wouldn't apply to them. It was just a lion. I'm a feminist. Ooh, look, a shitstorm. Okay. Alright, that's it. Holy shit, that's probably my longest video yet. I just had so much fun reading about all the unpopular opinions. I pretty much saw everything I was expecting and got surprised by a few. Like Justin Bieber. Who would have expected that?